Hey guys, my 1978 Holden Torana has just been nominated for Street Machine of the Year 2024. So just being nominated for this is a huge honour, as to me, Street Machine of the Year is the highest accolade in the car scene. But for this car to win, it is going to need your vote. So jump on the website and lodge your vote. It takes about 30 seconds and you go in the draw to win $3,000 cash. So some of the aesthetics and the philosophy of this car are actually inspired by previous Street Machine of the Year winners, such as Craig Parker's XY Falcon and Ron Barclay with his HQ Coral Ute. These cars had highly optimised and refinished parts, great stance, colour matched wheels and a great period aesthetic that I wanted to capture in my own. So some of the more recent winners, such as Jasmine Green with her heavily used Hilux, Aaron Gregory with the Memphis Hell, the car for all seasons, and Chad Ribbons with his beautifully refinished classic HD Ute inspire me. These are young people, they use their vehicles and they're owner-built cars. So I grew up in a family that didn't give a shit about cars, but when I was 14 I knew what I wanted. I bought my first Torana. That's 20 years ago now. I'm 34 years old and this is my dream Torana. So because I grew up driving on these twisty Dandenong Rangers, it was natural for me to want a car that goes well around corners. I've built this car to suit me as a driving enthusiast as well as a car enthusiast. It's dynamically fantastic. It's got Shockworks dampers all around, monotube dampers that are tuned for the car. The car has the crossmember moved forward a little bit to extend the wheelbase and compensate for all the caster that it has. It sits low to the ground, it's got a lot of rubber on the road. As I love Japanese wheels, I've used a Panasport G7 C5R and they've been widened and enlarged in diameter by Barrel Bros. So they're 16 by 10 and 17 by 12 inch on the rear. The rear end is a full floater live axle, but it's got a different suspension arrangement that I've built. It's got a wishbone and a ball joint on the diff. It's got adjustable lower arms and a rear hanging or rear mounted rear sway bar. All custom. I made it all myself using cardboard templates or computer aided design in some cases and fabricated it all. I did every weld on the car myself. It's got chassis strengthening across from the left to the right rails. It's got full chassis connectors from front to rear. It's got about 130 kilos taken out of the car, and that's by using aluminium panels, by using fiberglass panels, making a lot of parts full of holes. It's got 1,300 lightning holes in it, and you feel every bit of that difference in the performance of the car as well. So for me, 3 pedals was the only option. It's got a Tremec TKO 600, that's a 5-speed with a nice high torque rating. The motor's a stroked Holden V8, 383 cubic inches, makes 500 horsepower. It's got 8 50mm throttle bodies from EFI hardware, and it's running a Haltech computer with LPG vapor injection. So it's actually injected, but it runs LPG only. And the system works beautifully. 500 horsepower, it runs high 11s with a manual gearbox on street tyres. That's absolutely as much performance as I need. It's really too much for the twisty roads that I like anyway. I've made these tanks up the front out of aluminium. That hides my catch can, my overflow bottle and my windscreen washer system. I really wanted the effect like you get on a classic touring car where you open up the bonnet and you see the naked trumpets for the inlet system. In this case, I wanted that effect, but I also wanted to use the A9X reverse cow scoop, which I think is one of the coolest features of the A9X Torana, but I wanted to have effective filtration for road use. I actually use this thing, I even drive it on dirt roads, so I needed to have that sorted. This one actually has an enlarged bonnet scoop, which is taller, and that fits a suitable CFM rated panel filter in the scoop. So when you open up, you see the trumpets. When the bonnet is closed, it's sealed and perfect for daily drive use. So I solid mounted an LH Torana rack, which is a bit quicker, and with twin unis on the steering column, it gives me the best feel available of any of the Torana parts. So I've done that. I've got my 380mm Momo steering wheel. Behind that, I've got a programmable, dimmable shift light that I designed and 3D printed the post for to look like the dash. The dash is an SS style dash with that kind of Portland grey satin metallic. I've got digital GPS speedo that's backlit. I've made and 3D printed all the adapter kit for these. I've actually made a lot of those for other people as well. Ashtray comes out as a phone charger and a magnetic phone mount as well. And it's got Bluetooth, it's got intermittent wipers, and it's also got hazard lights, all in custom made switches that look like the original parts. So I still use a mechanical park brake, which is foot operated like the factory car. Next to that, I've got a factory pedal for the clutch, but I've modified that so that it works on an under-dash hydraulic master cylinder. The brake is still, once again, a factory pedal, but I've converted that to manual hydraulic brakes, and I've modified the pedals so that I can work well with heel and toe action, which is really bloody useful on twisty roads. I fabricated this stainless steel shifter assembly, and I also made this hydraulic handbrake assembly, which is all plumbed inside the car as well. That works awesomely on skid pans and when I'm throwing it around drifting, which is fantastic. I've got a 3D printed cup holder here with a factory type sticker with the 5-speed logo. So it looks very OEM, all of this stuff. I've also fabricated this stainless steel overhead console. It's got a map light, which I can aim around at different spots. It's got a second dome light, also has an orange ambient light to illuminate the interior softly at night. That isn't needed during the day because I cut a fucking giant hole in my perfect hatchback roof to install this custom sunroof. So the hole is the right size for a Porsche 944 sunroof. I did buy a Porsche 944 roof cut. I didn't actually use the sunroof. It was the wrong shape for the crown of the roof. So Peter Tomasini and I wheeled up an aluminium one. I made the frame and we actually bonded it together with a special glue. So it's got a frame and an alloy lid. It uses a factory Porsche wind deflector and interior trim, and it's huge. It's way too big to fit in the roof when it's open. This one doesn't slide, so basically it pops up at the rear, and then when I don't want it in the car at all, like right now, it actually stows under the false floor in the back, totally out of the way. You can still fill it with camping gear and all the other stuff and drive around. You can race it, it doesn't move around, it gets scratched in the back at all. So for the interior of the car, I actually used factory new old stock Holden Fashion Pack interior trim. So that's the insert material that was a special option back in the 70s. I found some of that material and I wrapped it over a factory rear seat, but on the front I put it over LXC Recaro seats, and I think it looks fantastic with the custom orange fishnet mesh headrests that I created as well. These seats are mounted really low in the car, and they're also on very long Toyota seat rails, and that allows them to basically slide a shitload forward up against the dash, so that when you're camping in the car, rear access is really good. Those seats move right up the front against the dash, and you can get very good access when you're sleeping in the back. To me, the best thing about having a hatchback, and honestly the reason that I have a hatch over a sedan, is the fact that I can sleep in the back. The hatch hutch accessory that Holden made for these things in the 70s, I'm totally in love with. Because this car was a UC, it actually had a different height false floor in the back. So I actually cut that whole false floor out, changed the height so that it lined up better with the seats when they were folded down. So it's nice and comfortable to sleep in the back. I use that thing all the time. I'll go and do race days where I can camp there, like at McPhillamy Park or Wilby Motorsport or Tarrangower. I can sleep in the back at the racetrack, or I'll put the mountain bikes on the back and I'll go and camp somewhere with the bikes on the rack. So if you want to support an owner-built car that is used as a street machine, go on the website and vote for this thing now.